Hello everyone, welcome to the Sage 50 lecture. So this video is primarily focused on looking at the different ways you can back up your company file. So you have been working on different files for different chapters. So you can either create a backup at the end of the chapter when you complete, or you can create a backups every interval that you feel that is important. You want to create an extra copy of your backup, you can do that as well. So there are different ways to create a backup, and I will show you the two ways that most common practice is, and then I'll tell you what I usually do for a backup as well. So what is my preferences? So as I mentioned this to you earlier as well, I like to keep the computer very organized so that I know where my files are. So what I have told you is that whenever you're working on Sage 50, you want to dedicate a particular folder for your database files. So which we created was accounting 152, which is the name of your course, and I put the course name and the date, the session when I'm doing this. This is 2022 fall. So over here I have one folder that's dedicated for the company file that I'm going to be working on. Then I have created another folder here and say chapter database file backup. So this is the file where I'm going to be doing a backup. So there are two ways you can do a backup. One, you can create a backup by clicking a backup file. So when you do this process of creating a backup from a particular chapter at a particular step, what you do is you create a backup. So now this backup file that you're going to be creating, it is a condensed file. So what it does is compressed your company file and create a folder that is a .cab file, which is a zipped folder, not a zipped, I would say it's a compressed folder, which will only can be restored using the Sage 50 application. Okay, that's one way to create a backup. And if you are creating multiple backups, I recommend using this method. Now, how do you create a backup? Let's say, for example, I finished step 2, exercise 2A13, and now I want to create a backup before I move into the next step. So what I do is I click on the backup, and you can click from here, or you can go into file and create a backup. So here it's going to create a backup, and it's going to ask me what name do I want to give. So I'm going to say chapter 2A exercise 2.13. So that's the name that I gave, and then it's going to ask me the location. So the location is the place where you want the file to be saved. So we want to make sure that we use the location that we created, so which is the C drive. Okay, and I press OK. And now here what I'm going to do is, see, it has a comment, which is just a comment. Now if you want, you can put your comment saying end of exercise 213, and you press OK. Now this is how you will create a backup if you are making a backup on your C drive. Now you see that this backup is created, and the file extension is .cab. Okay, if you try double clicking on the file, you won't be able to open the file. Now if you wanted to restore this backup and you get this message saying backup is complete, and you press OK, then you back to your file, and then you can continue to work on your file, and then nothing will happen with your backup. The backup is only up until the time that you created a backup. But then when you continue working on the same file, so you're going to be saving everything on the original file where you open the file from. Okay, now if you said, okay, you wanted to restore the backup, okay, that's a process that you have to be mindful of. Is if you create a backup using this backup, you have to restore the backup. Okay, so let's say, okay, you know what, you find out in the later step you made a mistake. Now what you want to do is you want to restore your backup. So now in that case, what you have to do is you're going to go into file, restore. Okay, Or what you can do is when you open Sage 50, okay, I'm going to show you guys from the beginning. When you open, sorry, this is not what I want to do. I'm going to say no backup required because I already made a backup. Okay, I need to actually close this file. Okay, I have to close the file and have you look at the from the step 1 where opening the Sage 50. Sage 50 2021. So now when you're creating a file from the backup, then what you have to do is you have to put them in a new place, okay, because you don't want to mix this up with your original file. Okay, so now when you open Sage, you see you have all these options. You have the third option, say restore from a backup. So if you select this option, it's going to ask you saying where do you want to restore from. So you're going to say next, and then you're going to find your backup file where we saved last time. So we go into a backup and select this file, and then you press next, and then you press next. Then it's going to ask you saying where do you want this file to be saved. So now because you already have chapter 2a, the original file, so you before you do that, before you actually restore, you have to go into chapter 1 and create a folder, and then we're going to name that folder as a restore file. So we're going to call this chapter 2 2a okay, so 2a luggage, and we're going to say restore file. Okay, so we know that this will be the file which we're going to restore, and later on you can change the name as well. So we need to give a location where this file is going to be saved, so which is going to be the restore folder that we created. And then here we're going to have to name the file, and we're going to say luggage updated, and then we click save, and then next, and finish. Now what this is going to do is it's going to go through a process of taking the database file as a backup and restore that into the Sage version of the file. It will take some time because it has to go through the process. Okay, so if you feel that your computer is not working, you just have to wait and be patient for the company file to be restored because it's still doing something at the back end. I can see something that's happening on the side, but you can't see it because it's on my other screen. This is something you have to be very careful about. The software is you had to have patience. So now it did what it need to do, and now it's asking me a session date from the file, which is the last date that was used. So we just pressed OK, and then it will open the company file. Okay, and now that file is opened. Okay, so this was the one way that the book tells you how to create a backup. Now there's a second way that I recommend students to create a backup is just making a copy of the file. So for that you do the same thing. Right here what you did, you created a luggage restore, and then what I will do is I won't do it here. What I will do is I go into my backup file. So I go into the previous folder where I have a backup location. So I go into the backup folder, I go inside here and I create a new folder, and I'll name this folder as so I'm going to name this folder as 2A, whatever file name that you want to give that you can remember where what's in there is 2A luggage exercise 213. Okay, so create a folder, and now what I'll do is I'll do file, save or copy. So this is what I will do. Okay, so it does take more space because it's not going to be a compressed file. So I'll go into my backup file now, into this folder, in here inside, and I'll put the name as luggage exercise 213 and then click save. Okay, so this one, it made a copy for that file. Okay, and then now if you don't want to have any issues in the future for the space, what you can do is you can zip this folder and delete the other one, and then if you ever in the future you want to use this folder, you can unzip it and then work on that file. Okay, that's how you can do the backup. It's a little bit of a longer process and obviously takes more space on your computer as well, but this way at least you have a full backup. You don't need to restore. All you need to just copy that file and move it to wherever you want. Okay, now if you see here, this has a copy of exactly what you have on the other computer, and if you want you can zip this folder. If you want to save space and have multiple folders saved on your computer, you can right click and say send to and zip it. Every computer is different, so here it says compared to zip file, so you just click on this, it will zip this folder, and then in the future if you ever need to work on this file, you can copy this file and put it into your number 1 folder and unzip it and use it for your future reference. Okay, so this is how you can do backups. You can either do a backup from here, or you can make a copy of the file and zip it for your location and then unzip when you wanted to use it. But if you do a first step, the first process, you have to go through a restore of backup and save the file. Okay, so I hope this helps you in understanding how the backup of the files work. If you're working on the chapters and you don't want to create a backup, that is fine as well, because you are doing this for practice, and when you're doing the exam or test and if you made a mistake you want to go back, you can only do that is if you're creating a multiple backups. But again, when you are in the test situation, you don't want to be in that position of creating backups because you don't have time, and there's a lot of step marks there as well. So in that case you don't need to worry too much about a backup file, but at least when you're working on your day-to-day work, you may want to do a backup, so that way if something happens you can always restore and work on your previous file and then continue from that particular exercise. Okay, so this will be the end of this video, and then if there's any more questions that you guys have, then you're most welcome to bring those questions in your class, and then I'll take it up with you in live class as well. Okay, take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next week class.